I did my presentation comparing two the poems Canzone in Blue, Then Bluer, and Guantanamera. Canzone in Blue, Then Bluer is by Vivi Francis, and she talks about the death of somebody who they seem to know and compares it to music. So she's pretty much describing the death of somebody and using music to describe it. Guantanamera is by Gabriela Garcia, and her poem is about the pride she and her people feel for their lineage. So these two poems have quite a lot of similarities. The main similarity you notice is that in both of these poems, music is important. Francis uses music to describe someone's death, while Garcia uses music to show her pride for her nationality. And so another similarity is that both of these titles references songs. So Canzone in Blue, Then Bluer. Canzone means song, so she's saying song in blue, and I think that probably means that it's a sad song, since the song is them dying. And Guantanamera is a song that Cubans have taken as their national anthem. So they both have songs in their titles, so that's a similarity. Both of these poems reference death. Francis references death throughout her poem, Garcia as well, although she references death in a prideful way as she writes about the death of famous singers. While in Francis's poem, they are describing the death of someone they are longing for. Both of these poems are free verse. Neither of these poems have any rhyme scheme, metrical pattern, or musical form, and I found that interesting considering that these two poems were wound around music, yet they don't have any rhythm to them. They both have metaphors. And one example of metaphors in Garcia's poem is Celia rolling pride through a gap in her teeth. So Garcia is comparing Celia's song as pride. So she's singing the song, and it's like pride rolling out of her. An example of Francis's poem is, and you sang like you cried, until the music of leaving, of long gone, became of you. So Francis is comparing their death as music, and they're saying the music is leaving you. It's kind of like saying the life is leaving you. So they're dying, pretty much. In Francis's poem, the narrator is speaking to someone, always saying you multiple times throughout the poem, while in Garcia's poem, my and we are said throughout, referencing their people when they say this, and it gives a feeling of unison. There's difference in figures of speech. Francis uses a lot of repetition in her poem in the form of a pephora and an aphora. She uses this to emphasize certain instances, such as the terror they felt or the color of their body as they were dying. And Garcia doesn't really use any repetition in her poem. There's also a difference in tone. Garcia has a more lively and celebratory tone, while Francis's poem has a sorrow tone. And you could see this drastic change between them, or difference between them, in their final verses. So Francis' final verse is blue as capillaries bursting from an eyes, blue as the vein under the razor, blue as the skin beats so far it breaks into song, a song like I like this dear, my voice has almost given way, I'm so scared. So I think she's using music as a way to show pain and suffering, and I interpreted this final verse as them describing how they cut themselves, and when they say how they've sung so many times, I think they mean that they've been in pain. This is a very dark ending to the poem, and I think it's the death of the person saying this poem is very near, is what they're saying. While in Garcia's poem, the final verse is, we end up riding the rhythm on the right pause, roaring lineage on our hips, and in our swings when we are dancing across the ocean like gods. So this tone in the last verse is a large contrast to Francis's, and it seems more celebratory and prideful of their lineage, a much happier tone than Francis's poem was. So I thought both these Francis and Garcia's poems were really well written, and I enjoy them both. However, I do prefer Francis' poem, as to me it was a bit easier to read and understand. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.